Single black father helps a drunk woman home. The next morning, she walks into his office as the CEO. The rain had stopped only minutes earlier, leaving the sidewalks glistening beneath the city lights. Most people hurried past without noticing the woman sitting alone on a park bench, her expensive shoes soaked, her designer coat stained with mud, and tears quietly falling as she struggled to remain awake. One exhausted single father almost kept walking. He had groceries in one hand, his young daughter waiting at home, and another early shift at work the next morning. But one glance at the frightened stranger changed everything. He had no idea that this single act of kindness would completely transform both of their lives before the next sunrise. Before we begin, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of hope, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with friends and family, and subscribe to the channel Heartwarming Tales for more inspiring stories. Xavier Brooks had learned long ago that life rarely rewarded people for doing the right thing. After losing his wife to a sudden illness several years earlier, he devoted every ounce of strength to raising his 8-year-old daughter, Nyla. Every day followed the same exhausting routine. He woke before dawn, prepared breakfast, walked Nyla to school, worked as a facilities coordinator for a growing technology company, picked up his daughter after work, cooked dinner, helped with homework, and somehow found the energy to smile through it all. His paycheck barely covered rent and bills, but he never allowed hardship to steal the kindness that defined him. That evening, as he returned home carrying discounted groceries, he noticed the elegant woman alone on the bench. She looked lost rather than dangerous. Her breathing was uneven, and she struggled to stand before collapsing back into the seat. Nearby pedestrians glanced at her and continued walking. Some assumed she had made poor choices. Others simply didn't want to get involved. Xavier couldn't ignore her. Keeping a respectful distance, he calmly asked if she needed medical assistance. She whispered that she had only consumed too much after an overwhelming day and had accidentally left her phone inside the taxi that dropped her nearby. She couldn't remember her address clearly enough to explain it. Instead of judging her, Xavier searched through her handbag with her permission until he found an emergency contact card listing her apartment building. He hailed another cab, paid the fare from the money he had planned to use for fuel that week, and ensured she safely reached the apartment lobby. Before leaving, he simply told the concierge that everyone deserved someone willing to help during their worst moments. He refused the offer of repayment and quietly disappeared into the night before the woman fully realized what had happened. The next morning began like every other. Xavier ironed his only neatly pressed shirt, braided Nyla's hair the way she liked, packed her lunch, and arrived at work just before 8. Rumors spread quickly throughout the office that the company's founder had appointed a brand new chief executive officer after months of confidential negotiations. Employees whispered excitedly about major changes, wondering who would be promoted and who might lose their jobs. No one expected a convoy of black vehicles to arrive precisely at 9. The conference room fell silent as the new CEO entered with quiet confidence. She wore a tailored navy suit, carried herself with remarkable composure, and greeted employees with warm professionalism. Xavier looked up from arranging presentation materials and nearly dropped the stack in his hands. Standing before him was the same woman he had helped only hours earlier. Her name was Asmara Vaughn, a brilliant entrepreneur who had recently acquired the company after years of building successful businesses across several industries. The difficult evening had followed an emotionally draining anniversary of her father's passing, combined with the enormous pressure of finalizing the acquisition. It had been the only time in her adult life that she had completely lost control. Their eyes met for only a second. Recognition appeared instantly on both faces. Yet neither mentioned the previous night. Asmara completed her introduction before requesting individual meetings with several department leaders. Hours later, Xavier received an unexpected invitation to her office. Walking inside, he worried he might somehow have broken company policy without realizing it. Instead, Asmara stood, smiled warmly, and thanked him for treating her with dignity when she had been unable to protect her own. She admitted that most people recognized wealth only after seeing expensive clothing or prestigious titles. The previous evening, stripped of status and confidence, she had discovered who truly possessed character. Xavier had expected nothing in return. That made his kindness unforgettable. He politely insisted anyone would have done the same. Asmara gently disagreed. She explained that countless people had passed by before he stopped. Over the following weeks, subtle changes began appearing throughout the company. Instead of rewarding loud self-promotion, Asmara encouraged teamwork, integrity, and compassion. She introduced family-friendly schedules, expanded childcare support, and created emergency assistance programs for employees facing financial hardship. When reviewing personnel files, she noticed something surprising. Despite consistently outstanding performance evaluations, Xavier had been overlooked for promotions for years. Former managers assumed his responsibilities as a single parent prevented him from accepting leadership roles. No one had ever bothered asking what he actually wanted. Asmara did. She invited him to lead a new employee support division focused on workplace culture and community outreach. Although the position offered significantly better pay, she made it clear that the opportunity wasn't charity or repayment. It was recognition that character belonged in leadership. Xavier hesitated at first. He feared the responsibility might reduce precious time with Nyla. Instead, Asmara redesigned the department so flexibility became one of its strengths rather than a weakness. She believed successful companies should help families thrive instead of forcing them to choose between career and loved ones. The new role transformed more than Xavier's finances. His confidence returned. Nyla watched her father leave for work each morning with genuine excitement instead of quiet exhaustion. Their small apartment gradually filled with laughter again. Weekend outings replaced constant worries about unpaid bills. For the first time in years, father and daughter planned for the future instead of merely surviving each month. Months later, the company hosted a community appreciation event honoring employees who demonstrated extraordinary kindness beyond the workplace. Standing before hundreds of co-workers, Asmara shared a story without revealing every personal detail. She described reaching one of the lowest moments of her life and being rescued not by wealth, influence, or business connections, but by an ordinary father carrying groceries after a long day's work. She invited Xavier onto the stage. The audience rose together in heartfelt applause. Many employees wiped away tears as Asmara explained that businesses become stronger when compassion matters as much as profits. She reminded everyone that true leadership begins with how people treat strangers who have nothing to offer in return. Looking across the audience, Xavier spotted Nyla smiling proudly in the front row. In that moment, he realized the greatest lesson he had ever taught his daughter wasn't spoken around the dinner table. It had been demonstrated on an ordinary rainy evening when no one was watching. Special request: if this story touched your heart, comment below with, "Kindness always finds its way." If this story inspired you or reminded you of the power of kindness, please like, share, and subscribe to Heartwarming Tales so more people can discover stories that bring hope and encouragement. Life has a remarkable way of returning the goodness we place into the world, often through doors we never expected to open. Xavier never stopped to help because he hoped for a reward. He simply believed every person deserved compassion, especially during their weakest moments. That simple decision not only changed Asmara's future but also transformed his own. May we all remember that the smallest act of kindness can become the beginning of someone else's miracle, and sometimes, our own.